LMMS, otherwise known as Linux Multimedia Studio, and otherwise known as the free digital audio workstation that's beloved by tons of producers worldwide. And I'm sure most of you already know this, but LMMS is actually the DAW that I first started out on when I started making beats many years ago, many moons ago. But the music industry and the world we live in has changed quite a lot over the past few years, so today we're going to jump into LMMS, take a look around, and I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion on it and whether I think it's still worth it in this day and age. Alright, so a little backstory here. I discovered LMS at the beginning of my music production journey about 6 or 7 years ago because I was looking for a free program that I could make beats in. And I happened to stumble across a little program by the name of a Linux Multimedia Studio. And then I pretty much used LMS for close to a year before I moved on to FL Studio, and FL Studio is what I've been using ever since. That being said, I have not even opened LMS for probably like 2 or 3 years now, so it's going to be interesting to jump in here and take a look at it once more, and hopefully I can provide you guys with a somewhat valuable perspective as somebody who's been making beats for quite a long time. So anyways, let's hop into this thing. Alright, so the first thing you'll notice when we open up LMS here, you'll have a couple different windows. The song editor, the beat and bassline editor, and the mixer. At least the way that I always used it was beat and bassline editor is kind of where you make the beat and the beats and the bass lines, basically just like a sequencer. And once you have your pattern, you click it in here, you can, drag it out, arrange it, do all sorts of stuff that you want to do. And then the mixer is where you can assign different effects to certain instruments and sounds and things like that. It's nice to have a sequencer if you're doing any sort of trap type beats and stuff like that. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows over here, because there is one problem that I've always had with the beat and bassline editor. So what I normally would do is make the entire drum pattern within one beat and bassline editor, and then separate it out into different beat and bassline editors so that you can lay it out individually within the song editor here. So that way, if I wanted to, I could have just the hi-hats playing, just the clap playing, just the kick playing, whatever I wanted to do. I could control each sound individually. However, separating all these into their own beat and bassline editor has never been an easy process. So basically what you'd have to do before is just create 2 different beat and bassline editors, and then go back to the original one, copy, and then go to this one, and then paste. It's not even doing it right now, but I think the version that I'm using is kind of like a beta version, so it's like a little buggy, but that was what you would normally have to do. But I'm actually also seeing a different way that you could do it right now, which is cloning these. So we have 2 clones of the beat and bassline editor, and in the first one, we can just get rid of these 2. The second one, we can just get rid of these 2. And then the third one, just get rid of the top 2. And now you have all the sounds individually, which is actually quite a lot easier than the way that I used to do it. However, in FL Studio, there's literally one button that does it for you. Moving on though, let's check out the song editor real quick. So now we have all of our, our silly little patterns here. We can drag these out to 4 bars, do whatever we want with them. I must say that at least in this version, I'm very impressed with what they've done to make the workflow in the song editor a lot better. So if you hold down Control and select this, and then hold down Control again, and click it over, you can duplicate it very, very easily, which is actually really, really nice, because those kind of things are what really matter in the long run, like just the simple quality of life, workflow improvement kind of updates. That's what actually really matters. You can actually use middle mouse button to delete stuff. That's really nice. So yeah, honestly, workflow within the song editor, really, really good. Like actually professional stuff. It's very efficient, very quick, very easy to use, and that's what you want. And now let's take a quick look at the mixer. So although it would be nice to have some sort of hotkey to assign a sound to a mixer track, it is still fairly easy. You can click on this little cog thing, go to the effects thing, and then do assign to a new effects channel, and it'll assign it to a new effects channel. And then you can just do that with all of these. And now you have everything assigned to a mixer, which is fine. That works okay if you're doing pretty simple beats, but imagine you have like 50 sounds in your beat. This is gonna take a little minute. So for people who know more about it than I do, maybe there's a way to assign them all at once, but it doesn't look to me like there is. And see, one of the things I love about FL Studio is you can just click on all of your sounds, press a button, and all of them will be assigned to a mixer track. I love that. It's super convenient and super nice. That would be a nice feature to have here. But this is all right. This is okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, other than that, it's just a pretty standard mixer. The one thing that would be nice is a reset mixer track button. They don't really have that here. They just have remove channel, which you might really not want to do. Also, maybe a clone mixer track option would be nice. A lot of times I'll have two sounds that are kind of similar, and I'll use probably most of the same effects, but I'll just tweak the settings a little bit. So it's nice to be able to clone the same track over and not have to like actually go in and redo every single effect that you have in there. The mixer is all right. It's a very, very primitive mixer. It doesn't really have all the features that you would ideally want from a mixer, and just some of the convenience things that I use a lot. One thing that I noticed that is nice is if you click on a mixer track and then you hold down Alt and use the arrow keys, you can adjust the position of that mixer track, which is very, very nice. That's the same as it is in FL Studio, and that's really good for people who like to organize their stuff a little bit better. But anyways, another thing I want to look at real quick is automations. So to create an automation in LMS, what you do is go here to this little icon, add an automation track, click it in, and then just adjust this for how long you want the automation to be. And then as you can see, it says drag a control while pressing control. So let's just automate the master volume of the track. So we'll hit control, click it, and drag this onto here. And now we have control of the master volume. So let's click on this, and now we have the automation thingy open. The ideal thing would be to be able to adjust it right on the song editor instead of having to open up a whole new window to do the automation. Also, the automation for me has always been a little touchy. The grid is like a little weird. I don't know. It's just a weird interface. Overall, it's just very weird. You can change the like slopes or whatever. I mean, and I guess this is cool, and it gives you a lot of freedom over your automation because you can get in there with like 1/16 snap grid and like really adjust it like very finely and stuff. But I don't think I would really ever need this kind of stuff. But if you're maybe doing like EDM or you're doing more like automation based kind of music, this might be really handy. However, in FL Studio, you can just do it right in the song editor thing. So I don't know, just at least for me, having to open up a whole new window for the automation just takes away from the kind of workflow thing, and generally would probably make me not want to do automations as often. A couple other little minor things I can talk about. The file browser is pretty nice and easy. It's nothing crazy. You can go through your files. They actually do have some pretty good stock sounds in LMS, really nothing to complain about. I think also they're a little nostalgic for me because they're like the sounds that I first started making beats with. But yeah, they've got a nice little triple oscillator with some, well, a lot of presets actually. Also, I do want to give props to the piano roll because the piano roll is actually very, very good. It's honestly like almost identical to FL Studio. Even a lot of the hotkeys work the same, which is really nice. Also, the scale highlighting, it's better than FL Studio's. 100% it's better than FL Studio's because it's right here, right in front of you. Literally click on C major, you have C major right there. You want a little F harmonic minor? Right there. Honestly, that's amazing. FL Studio needs to add that. Just put it right there at the top. That would be super nice. So yeah, huge shout out to the piano roll because it's very good and very efficient. But now, for the greatest downfall, the make or break kind of thing, there is no recording feature at all. There is literally no way to record an LMS. So yeah, this is honestly like a make or break thing for anybody who wants to actually record their own stuff. So if your workflow and the music you want to make is more suited towards like live instrumentation kind of stuff, I would go with a different program like GarageBand, or I've heard like people use BandLab or whatever. Even just recording in Audacity, like literally anything that actually can record is a better option than LMS if that's what you're going for. Also, it goes kind of hand in hand, but the sampling feature in LMS has also never been very good. You can't really time stretch a sample within the program, so whatever tempo the sample is has to be what the tempo of your project is. I like to time stretch things, like to pitch things up and pitch things down and mess around with the sample, which you honestly just don't really have the freedom to do inside LMS. So yeah, that is the one major downfall of the program, honestly. And especially for somebody who records a lot of drums and guitar and bass and stuff like that, just like would never work for me. But what are my final thoughts here after this little LMS exploration today? Honestly, the first thing I gotta say is the program is a lot better than I remember. The song editor really surprised me. When I was using it, I remember the song editor being definitely not as good as it is now, so I am very glad that they upgraded that. The piano roll is amazing, super easy for beginners to use. It's just overall a great piano roll. But my overall thought about the program is that it really is still a beginner program in my eyes. I think if you spend a little bit of time and use it for a while, you'll realize like, I would like to be able to do this faster, or have the option to do this more efficiently, or do this in a different way, or whatever you want to do. The workflow, at least for me, is a little bit limiting, especially when I know that there's something like FL Studio where you could do everything in a bunch of different ways and a lot more efficient ways than you can inside LMS. That being said, I still fully stand by the idea that LMS is the best program for beginners to start out on. If you don't want to instantly drop freaking $200, $300, $400 on a huge music program, especially if you don't even know if you're going to stick with it for a long time, if it's just a little hobby, something you want to mess around with. LMMS is absolutely 1,000,000% the way to go, unless you want to record anything at all. Bear in mind, I am saying it's a beginner program. However, there are people who go absolutely crazy on LMMS and make better stuff than I've ever made in my entire life. It's fully 100% possible to absolutely master this program and become a total beast in LMMS and make stuff that sounds super professional and nobody would ever know that you made it in a free program. As I've said before, it's not about what's out here. It's not about what's on the computer. Forget all that stuff. It's about what's in here. This is what matters. You are the thing that matters. You are what's going to make all the difference. It doesn't matter what program you're using. It doesn't matter what computer, what instruments, whatever you're using, because it just matters what you can do with it. So to wrap things up here, LMMS will always have a special place in my heart, of course. It's the program that got me started on my journey, and I will never forget it, and I will always have love for the program and the community. Would I use LMMS ever again? No, probably not. I think I've just really outgrown it, which is perfectly fine and okay. Should you try out the program? If you're a beginner and you're looking for a program to start making beats on and just, practice and learn and have fun, absolutely. But ultimately, it's up for you to decide if LMMS is right for you or not. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys go check out my Instagram, SoundCloud, all the playlists of songs I produced, and all that other social media stuff down in the description below if you'd like to do so. And I will see you all next time.